The graininess on this camera. Oh my gosh. Let me do something with it. Good morning. Sorry, I have not been on here for quite some time. It's been a whirlwind with the funeral, the memorials that had happened, and then I did my own memorial. Yesterday was like the beginning of the full week that I have lit my candle. It hit me really hard yesterday, along with other things. I just broke down and cried. I missed my grandfather yesterday. He's been gone for a while, but I really and truly wasn't able with my ex to take the time that I truly needed in order to grieve my grandfather's death. So that kind of hit me yesterday. And I was feeling out of place and whatnot, and I just broke down and cried. I played a couple of songs that, you know, in dedication of those two special people that was in my life for a short amount of time, one longer than the other, but still. DJ's death really hit me hard. Just things this month were just still not going. I was feeling the effects of the freaking retrograde, and today is our solar eclipse. So I was feeling that already, and I was not really willing to deal with everything. And I was forced to deal with everything yesterday. Including just fucking breaking down and telling my dom, I said, don't leave me. Whatever you do, don't leave me. Because at that, I was extremely open and vulnerable, and I just, in my mind, I was saying, I cannot process anymore. And my dom was like, you don't have to cry to celebrate his. She's like, he would want you to celebrate his life and not his death. I said, but Daddy, if I do not process this, it's going to be 10 times worse when I finally do break down and process it and cry. He's like, well, then do something special to celebrate him because he's free. And I love the fact that he said he, because as much as I care for his friend Charles, I find it very disrespectful. And I get it. Everyone is different. Everyone is different. But when addressing the dead, have respect for the dead. DJ wanted to be known. He didn't want to be known as a female. If he wanted to be known as a female, he would have stayed female. He wouldn't have taken the time and the money and to go through the process of changing. So he wanted to be remembered as a male. And to boldly point out that he was a she is saying, I'm going to disregard this person who chose, or maybe it wasn't a choice. Maybe that, and this is how my Dom put it, because we really got into a really, it wasn't a discussion or a disagreement or anything, but we were talking about, because I said, and if you're a Christian, I'm sorry, some Christians are this way. Most of the Christians that I have known my whole entire life have been this way. You know, if you are not of the same faith and same belief, follow the same path, you're not going anywhere that, you know, can even benefit you in the afterlife. Because in other words, you're going to Tartarus because you believe that this completely and wholeheartedly in your heart that you are a male, that you were meant to be a male. You know this in your mind, you know this in your heart, in your soul, in your whole being. This is what you were supposed to be. And so you follow that suit. And so now people are like, oh, well, you can't be Christian because you chose to be a male, or you're a male choosing to be a female. Who is to say what the fucking divine? If you follow a patriarchal God, okay, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm with a very fabulous man. He reason I get up in the morning and do what I do for this man. So there's nothing wrong with following. If that is what is in your heart to follow, then that is what is in your heart to follow. But let's get down to the brass taxes of this thing. Who is to say the patriarchal God was not at first indigenous? Not indigenous, but what is that word? I'll have to look it up. But anyways, to where he was both. Okay. To where he was both. And then later on went to be more masculine. Who is to say that? Androgynous, that's the word. I knew it started with an A. So I've read, I love these books of Lilith that I'm finding on my Kindle on my phone that I put up, I think it was last week. And I was reading one of the stories of Lilith that I haven't read. Now, I read the book of Lilith by a certain Arthur. And that more or less portrayed her. That was her story. This one is kind of the same way, but it was by an author that has been following and has dedicated their life to Lilith. So it's more of a personal, her take or his take on that. And it said, and I knew, I was like, no, see, this story between the apple and Eve and Adam just does not make sense. And like, why all of a sudden, the patriarchal God went from Yah to God? And it was during the process of when Lilith was coming back from the Red Sea, where she had met um, the fallen angel Samael. But in the book, it gives the actual name differently and pronounced and spelled differently than Samael. Um, and he was wearing kind of like a tunic thing. And he asked her, he goes, why are you not wearing something to cover you up? And she was explaining to him, well, this is what, I was born with. I was born like this without the clothing or anything. She was wondering why he was covered up. And out of all honesty, a piece of clothing was somewhat not the thing. Now, in this book, it wasn't an apple. It wasn't the fact. I truly believe that they were covered up and in shame. But it was the tree. It was the willow tree where her and Adam lived in for the longest time. And what really took place is the fact that Adam was saying every single animal that is in Eden, from the tree animals, the birds, the fish, to the land animals, have all had names. And he's like, everything is done. And she's like, well, why didn't you come and get me to help you with said task? Why wasn't I not involved in this? And this is where he goes, well, Yah had told me to name all the animals. And she's like, okay, she's processing it because her mind is more advanced than his is, that she didn't understand why, yeah, okay, they were created equally from the same clay and the same stardust, has said it was it was him. Why is y'all only talking to you and not both of us? If we are created equally in the same clay and stardust, I am not below you. I am not your subservient, submissive. I was made from the same clay and stardust as you. Why am I not being involved in this if we are equal? And she just couldn't understand why y'all would do this. Okay, so she kind of brushes that off. And it's now dark, and she's tired, and she's exhausted, and she's going to bed. She wakes up in the middle of the night, and Adam is trying to proceed to basically spread her legs and have his way with her. And she is not understanding this. She's like, this is not acceptable. This is not you did not ask. You did not ask to enter me. You just did it. Why are you doing this? And he goes, well, Yah said to me that we are to produce and procreate. And at this time, Lilith is like, why? Why? Why soil this greatness that is Eden, that is made for me and you, with children of all sorts to be nonetheless? And why are you on top when I am your equal? Again, even in this story, Adam is the villain. And Adam gets so furious. You are my submissive. You are therefore on the bottom. You are lower than me. This is what Yah has proclaimed. This is what Yah has said. You are to be on the bottom and I am on top. We are to procreate and plenish the earth, the Eden with children. Well, it wasn't the fact that children was to become involved. It was the fact that there was not permission. And again, Yah said to Adam, you are to go and produce children. Instead of involving her in this, now she is feeling singled out with this male aspect. And she's pissed. And she's livid. Because in her mind, she does not get where this is coming from. Why is Yah now saying these things and not including her in it? Why now? When obviously they were meant to be equal. So while Adam is asleep in the beautiful willow tree, that she has made a home for them, where they lay. And see, this is where this can be kind of misconstrued, because Lilith was not just life mate to Adam. She was his sister. They both were born on the same day. So kind of setting forth the twin aspect. And um, and she's like, she's pondering these things in her mind. And she's like, okay, I have got to go out somewhere. I am getting so aggravated. I do not understand what is going on between Yah and Adam, but I gotta breathe. So she goes out and out of Eden. So this is where the stories kind of drift differently. Alright, because you read a lot and says that she was kicked out of Eden. Okay. First, she left Eden for 6 days. Alright? Because now back then, now mind you, back then, animals could speak. There was a connection and a bond between man and animal until the separation of names began to happen. Well, during this 6 days, because we know that on the seventh day, supposedly God had rested. Well, during these 6 days, as Earth is progressing and Adam is throwing his bed, we don't know when he went crying to Yah, but we know that this happened. And so while Lilith was gone, okay, and falls deeply in love with Samael, or Morning Star. He was known as Morning Star then. He he was like telling, because on this, I do believe the 6th or close to the 6th day, she has decided, well, I need to go back and I need to see what's going on with Eden. And he begs her to stay. He goes, "It is going to end badly for you. Please do not go back. Stay, stay." And so he's begging and pleading, and she's like, "I will come back. I promise." And she goes, "What can y'all do? He has already done enough. What else can he do?" And at this time, they have already had they have kids and everything. And she's like, I am, I am, yeah, I do not understand why God would punish me so for something, doesn't understand. So she goes back to Eden. And during this process, I don't understand why my Dom likes my hair. He's like, yesterday, look at this. See this right here? This is what I'm talking about. This little part right here. I think I could deal with this part right here if I didn't have this part right here. So, anyways, but he likes it. Yesterday was like, I looked in the mirror and I said, I look like fucking Medusa. Yeah. And at that moment, he's walking in. Okay, I'm going off the beaten path. Back to Lilith and Adam. So, she has already fallen in love with Morningstar, all right, who is the uh, the fallen angel that has fallen from grace. And at this moment, he is not even what people nowadays consider Lucifer or Satan, because he is still wandering the earth. His wings have been clipped. He has yet to fall completely. Um, so, with this being said, uh, she she goes back to Eden. He's begging her, this can only end in disaster. You must stay. And she's like, no, I gotta go back to Eden. I gotta talk to Adam. I gotta do this. I gotta do that. He's like, things are not going to be the same when you get there. Listen to me. Listen to me. I have been there. Just hear me out. And she promised she would come back, and he said, I will wait for you in the end of time. When you come back, I will be waiting for you. And sure enough, so anyways, what happens? She goes back and she finds Eve. And she's perplexed. Who is this new female and what is she doing in Eden? She is not understanding what had happened between the night that she left Eden to Rome and uh, what has happened between then and now to occur that this new female is here. So she goes up to this new female. She's looking. Who are you? And Eve's like, I am Eve. I am Adam's submissive wife. She's pondering this, and she's like, okay. And she's wanting to know the more of the story. She's like, okay, when was she created? How was she created? And she's like, I was created by God through Adam's rib. I am to be his submissive, his subservient. And she's like, okay. I have been replaced. But in her mind, she's thinking, it's through. She's like, huh, okay. So I've been replaced. This is not cool. And she's like, all right. So Eve, has Adam ever mentioned who I am to you? And she's like, we do not talk about it. Why am I not talking about it? I am Adam's sister. I am his twin sister. We laid in the same bed at the freaking willow tree. And she's like, oh, well, we, that is forbidden. The willow tree is forbidden. Okay. I wonder if she's thinking, I wonder if that tree still stands. So they go to Eden. They go inside Eden. And sure enough, that same willow tree that they lived in is still standing. And she's like, it has not been touched. Why does he not sleep in the in our home that we used to live in? And Eve is like, she's not understanding Lilith, because Lilith was not from Adam, did not come from Adam. They came, she came from Adam's, Eve came from Adam's rib. So her mind is not, as sharp as Lilith is, because Lilith is ancient and old. And then Eve goes to Lilith and she goes, what are you wearing? And why aren't you naked? And Lilith's like, because I don't want just any man to think that they can have their way with me. And she gets Eve to think, huh, okay. So this is where the fig trees come in, where the fig branches, with those big, huge branches that cover them up. Eve, Lilith is wearing a sash, and it's a red one, and it was the one that I do believe that Morningstar gave her. And so Eve puts on, I guess it would be kind of like a loincloth or something like that to cover her up. And then she goes, I have to tell Adam about this, yada, 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 and whatnot. And Adam and Eve come back, and Lilith is standing there uh, in the willow tree. And Adam sees Lilith, and he's like, what are you doing here? You left. Yada, 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 blah, 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 blah. What the fucker? Well, the tree is so secluded that Yah now is known as God. And that's another thing that's perplexing Lilith, is why all of a sudden is Yah is asking everyone to call him God. Why? And hold on, because I got my hair is like, doing its own little thing. So, you know, she is just, everything is new here, this new girl, and she really doesn't, she feels sorry for the last. She feels sorry for the last because she's being misguided and everything, and everything has changed since she left. So now, they couldn't, there wasn't supposed to go into the tree, and because it's secluded and y'all cannot see what's going on. So with that, he calls forth Adam and Eve and goes, um, why? One thing you was not supposed to do. You had only one rule, and that was not to go into the tree. So Lilith is like, she's like, yeah. Why are they calling you God now? And y'all speaks up. And he goes, Lilith, why are you covered? And she says, because I choose who I show my body to and who gets my submission. They have to be a well-worthy person or being or whatever. And he looks at Adam and Eve and sees that they are clothed too. So what is wrong with being clothed? Other than the fact that it covers up snippets and stuff. And he's asking Adam and Eve, why are y'all clothed? What are y'all ashamed of? And of course, Adam, being the whiny, sniveling little twit that he is, ugh. Anyways, so he goes and he says, God, the woman has given me clothing and has deceived me. Well, in this mist, Lilith is like seething mad, and I'm like, and she's like, woman's fault. Brilliant one. Brilliant one. And she's probably just shaking her head at Adam because she's like, she can't believe what he has become. The same person that used to hold her hand is now this arrogant asshole that just blames everything on women. And this is when Eve throws Lilith under the bus and says that Lilith had deceived her. And in this ordeal is where y'all or God or whatever patriarchal name you want to call him, flat out tells Lilith, you are banished from here on in to roam the earth, and as an ultimate punishment for you, all the children that you have, 100 a day, will die because of your disobedience to me. And she could not understand why Yah was so infurious with her. What did she do wrong to cause such a wrath of such a being that he would want to destroy all her people? And even amongst this, she is saying, come with me, you two. Come with me outside of Eden. There is more out there to see than Eden. So, okay, that is good enough of that. Thank you. Oh, no, thank you. So, she is baffled at this new identity that Yah had taken upon him itself, and is like, okay, okay. 100 of my children will die a day. This is what I set forth upon every child. Because remember, in the Mesopotamian area, she was the goddess of fertility, of childbirth, of children, both female and male. She was the protectress of pregnant women. So she flipped a script as she goes, fine, 100 of my children will die a day. Then I give the curse also to Adam. So out of her rage and out of her pain and agony, before she even knows what truly is happening, she gives the same fate to Adam and Eve's children. Not thinking, because they have already produced, like tremendously produced, and flourished Eden like you wouldn't believe. So, and so has Liz. Within these 6 days, she has children too with Samael. And these are very powerful beings because he is he's angel. He's still angel. I'm sorry, people, but your portraits and everything of Morningstar is misconstrued and bullshit. How can an angel have horns? Okay, just because he's fallen does not mean that he grows the horns. No. Y'all are taking, and I know I'm getting off the beaten path and getting on the tangent. You are taking the mythical creature Cernunnos, which is the god of the hunt in Britain, and portraying him as Morningstar. Okay, do y'all know why Morningstar became underneath? It was because Yah knew the great forces and children that Lilith and Samael would make. These were very powerful beings that walked and roamed the earth. And 100 a day. Now, when she found this out, I'm getting to this. When she found this out, and after she cursed, she ran back to the Red Sea. And in this time, her children were falling from the ground. The ones that were on the ground. Everything that she has named that was not in Eden, that was the creatures of the night and of the desert, was dying. So it wasn't just her children that were falling and perishing, but the creatures that she came to love, that she named, that she took a great care. And that even included Morningstar, because she gave Morningstar his name, his other name. And because of that, and because their union was so strong, Yah punished her, tremendously punished her, took away her great love. Not only did her children were falling from the blessed sky, and she's trying to capture them, and she already has one of her children who is hugely a giant in her arms, and she's weeping. But she sees Morningstar. She sees her love. And he is running to her, and she is running to him. And in the midst of this, the earth opens up. Okay, mind you. And engulfs Morningstar to the ground, to the inside the world. He didn't have no choice but to have this happen, because the earth opened up and just engulfed him. Just engulfed him in front of her eyes. The love of her life, the one that showed her what it was truly like to be with somebody, the way it is supposed to be. And Yah took that away from her. Yah took that away from her. So yeah, she is livid now. She is pissed. She is out for vengeance. She is now stuck roaming this earth and forever being considered a beast, a demoness, the first demoness, supposedly, but not by choice, by her, again, standing up for what she believed in. She did not see anything wrong with telling them, hey, cover up yourself. Just, that way no one else can have you. You're pure. And so has been exiled to roam the earth, never knowing what love is. But in this story, there is a happy ending in this story. So amongst her travels, because she is now nomadic, she has now had the crescent moon on her forehead. And so she's wandering outside of Eden and whatnot. And she comes upon Nod. And she sees this man, reminds you. And she's trying to help him out, but he's a little bit in the arrogance area. And um, she does not put two and two together on who this is. Now, mind you, because I do believe Cain and Abel were before um, she cursed. So they're the oldest of all the kids. And there's a lot of kids because they've been procreating who knows how long. But, anyways, I move on. So, with that being said, she meets this guy and they start talking. And neither one of them are aware on who they're talking to. And then finally she puts two and two together and she's like and she starts talking to him. And she's like, I was cursed because of my oh I guess you would say what she strongly felt and believed was right. Thus, thus she goes, I wear the mark on my forehead, which was the crescent moon. And he was explaining to her, you know, what had happened between him and Abel. And that, uh, um, what was it? So he was telling the story of what had happened and what had taken place. And again, this is where I just don't get Yah. Again, he believes that one sole person can be completely without fault, and the other one is completely in fault. So instead of punishing, you know, okay, we're going to turn off TV because it's being wonky and I just don't want to deal with it. I'll put some music on. Hold on a second. Oh, I do not hold any rights to these songs, so you're too be nice. Anyways, so they go out into the field, and Abel's like, "Oh, I'll go with you," yada yada yada, and he's talking big, and he's boasting and all this kind of stuff and bragging, and freaking Cain has had enough. He's had enough. I mean, enough is enough. It's enough that Yah um did not accept Cain's offering and showed favoritism with Abel. So, and now to add fuel to the fire that has already been stoked with anger and resentment. He's hearing his brother post and brag about how his offering was better. And like Lilith, Cain cannot understand why God chose this person and didn't accept his gift. What was so wrong with his gift? And he's just enraged. He's so angry and he's fed up with it. And in his rage, kills his brother. And so therefore Cain was again cursed, like Lilith was, to forever roam this earth. He bore the mark. Now, was this figuratively speaking? Maybe the curse was to not not to know peace, not know acceptance, not to be accepted, to be ever, and whatnot. So she ends up falling for Cain, and they produced Babylon. One of the greatest cities in Egypt was Babylon. And that is where they lived happily for the longest time until Cain came down really sick. And in his insanity and whatnot, she endures again losing somebody that she cares about. And then he dies at the end of the story. But it does have kind of like a semi-sweet ending for her. And they have children, and they create Babylon, which, again, like I said, was like one of the massive, most successful empires in that time. And she, like I said, she took care of him in his fits of bouts of sickness and whatnot. And it's funny because me and my Dom were talking, I think it was like yesterday or something like that, about how, and I was telling him, I said, Daddy, we have it so misunderstood about how things are. Back then, they didn't have what we have now. They didn't have a piece of paper. They didn't have the rings. They didn't have this. They had nothing to represent that they was a united couple. There was no such thing. It was all in here and up there or whatever, I said, and then we come back here and you have to have a piece of paper to show that you were married. You have to have this to show, you have to wear a ring or something like that. And I'm like, I am not against that, but I am so like old world. Like, I would prefer a collar because it has a more of the in-depth meaning than a ring does. There's more to it than that. Um, I already consider myself um, his submissive wife because, and why I say that is because I don't have to have something that outer symbolism of what is already placed. Your soul knows if that person is meant to be with you. That is your other half. That is your soul. And I know without of a shadow of a doubt that this man is my soul. This man holds my heart. That's all I need. If he wants to give me a collar that has my name on it, fine. I will wear it with great pride. But I don't need it. Maybe to show for others that I am with this person. But other than that, I don't need it. Because we have that kind of bond and that connection. We have talked about our past lives, and last night was a really dark, in depth conversation. And I've been reading up about my people. I believe when we were together ages ago, I don't quote me on how far back this is. I know it's Middle Earth, Japan. I know I was a Kinsoon um, in one of them, and I know he was my partner. And it is one of the reasons now that I felt this is so out of me, out of my norm. This is not something I normally do with any of the guys I have ever been with. I feel comfortable being at his feet. And in fact, I flat out told him, I said, if this is a little thing, then call me little. I don't care. I would prefer a beanbag. I'm simplistic. I prefer a beanbag. We don't, I don't have, well, I personally don't have to have couches or anything. Freaking give me a beanbag. A beanbag is comfy. I can sit in it. I can watch TV in it. I can eat. And it takes up minimum space. And I like beanbags. Enough to where I can, like, big enough to where I can sit in it. Not these small ones. But, and I was thinking of it. I can't remember what he was doing. That's pretty. He was doing something. And I started wondering. I was like, because I was like, I really and truly like beanbags. Like, I like beanbags better than this chair. I mean, and this chair to me is comfortable. Until he puts his lovely pillows on it. And then it's like, yeah, I don't like that. I like to be like a little bit lower. Um, okay, guys, quit. So, and there's that. And, but as I was reading the story, and that reminds me, I need, I want Daddy to read the part because we were talking about where in Genesis it states about Lilith. And in the story that I was reading, it has it on top before it gets into the story of Lilith and Adam. And so I need to copy that and put that on there. So yeah, there's that. Oh, that needs to be charged. It's blinking at me. And please, before I get off here, um, remember, yes, it is a solar eclipse, but it is still the sun. And the rule still applies to looking at the sun. And I seriously doubt that the little glasses with the little plastic lenses that are just colored um, will really protect your eyes. Do not look up at the sun when this is happening, um, because it still can hurt your eyes, permanently hurt and burn your retinas. So be cautious, be careful, be safe, be kind to yourself in this time of the month, because we are in a retrograde as well. And that brings its own energy in to play. So, love yourself. Self care is really important, whether you're a male or female. Um, and just be safe. Use common sense. Don't get carried away with this chaos of, oh, well, we have to see the the eclipse. Okay, well, is your eyesight that less important than this eclipse? I mean, because if so, go ahead. I give you full permission to be stupid. Um, but if your eyesight is more important than the eclipse, then don't do it. If your work depends on you having your eyes, in which all work does, um, please be careful. That's all I implore. Um, again, love yourself. Learn to do self care in this time between the retrograde and this eclipse. Even after this eclipse, because we're still going into the retrograde, and that won't end until the 25th, but you will still see a residual effect after. So just remember to love yourself, to love others, be kind, be mindful of your thoughts and your words. Um, Even if it's not a retrograde, be kind to yourself. Don't be so harsh on yourself, and just go with the flow of the energy. Do not fight it, because once you fight that energy, that's when everything can go wrong. So, with the retrograde, what this brings is this brings communication misunderstandings. This brings electrical fallout. This is why they say do not make big plans in this time to do something this extravagant or big, because things can go awry. Like if you're planning on going on a plane trip or something like that, and you're getting on the plane, okay, wait until a little bit after the retrograde when this is all done and the residual energy is dissipated and whatnot, to then make your plans and get your ticket. Because if you do it during this retrograde, you're going to have cancellations. My electronics, I am so amazed right now because through this retrograde, through all last week, I have had nothing but troubles with my phone acting up, TVs acting up. Shoot, even my energy was off. And, but anyways, I am going to get off here because I want to start on my story that I'm doing. And, I don't really have much to do today because we did a lot of cleaning yesterday. Yesterday was our complete reset. So, like, I did, oh wow, about 5 loads of laundry. And he was here cleaning. So, that was our reset day. It was not a soft reset, it was just a reset day. And therefore, I am going to get off here. Darkest blessings. Do some, especially right now with the eclipse coming on. That would be really Belladonna. Sorry, that was my dog. Yeah, you know better than that shit. To do some self-reflection. Figure out what is working now for you and what is not, and what you need to cut out. And work with that and build on that. And I will see y'all later. Again, darkest blessings. Namaste. Bye.